Betrayal.
Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. Although this really is just one of the final prophetic updates that I will be doing for Kenya, family, because the die is set. As I say, this narrative is over, and the way the narrative is concluding itself is it's kind of fantastical, family. So much happened. As you know, Charles came to Kenya, so-called King Charles, to try and resuscitate the collapsing of the British control over the motherland and over Kenya. Kenya is the motherland, stories for the days. And, remember I told you, family, that there was a friend of mine who had told me that he was coming here for a coronation. Well, it turns out that he actually was here for a coronation, and the person who was being so called coronated happens to be our one and only Samoy. And Samoy was not coronated as RUTO. He was coronated because he took on the identity of Koitalel al, is it called Talel Arab Samoy? The great leader and prophet of the Nandi, who fought tirelessly. Family, I've done shows on this. I'll actually create a playlist. He fought tirelessly, and he was actually betrayed by the Mzungus at the last minute. And if you go back to that prophecy, family, I know a lot of you try to make fun of me. Oh, I'm saying RUTO is the next Arab Samoy. He's the chosen one. He is. But he chose himself, family. And if you go back to that prophecy I gave then, I talked about how RUTO had been chosen, almost chosen himself by taking on this ancient Nandi, prophetic leader's title, but that he had to be aware that he did not fall down, fall for the same kind of betrayal. And after the coronation that happened during Charles's visit, family, it looks like that is exactly what happened. Because if you remember, or if you go back to that story and that episode, I talked about how Samoy had actually, he terrorized the invaders. They feared him. And he was able to really push them back and secure a massive, massive, nation for himself and for his people. And so they crafted a plan where they were like, let's invite Samoy for a meeting and tell him, we're doing this in peace, etc., etc., and we now want to negotiate. We accept that he's the winner. And so Samoy, as the honorable African king that he was, thought he was being invited for an honorable, truthful meeting, and he went. And instead of them actually having negotiations and them accepting defeat, they killed him, cut his head off, and took that head to the divided kingdom. They totally decimated him and his leaders, and that led to the fall of his nation. Until this day, they still have Samoy's skull in the divided kingdom. And if you look at, there's several shows, I don't know if they're still up, that I did where I talked about actually one particular show, where I talked about what were they doing with the heads of our ancestors. Family, they use the heads of our ancestors to divine, to prophesy the future. And so I don't know how our presidents and our leaders are moving. I don't know if they don't have seers, if they don't have, or if these people are God, because as a high priestess, some of these things you just don't do. How do you christen yourself the name of someone who's still in prison, whose skull is still somewhere? Then you allow those same people, they don't bring the skull back, but they coronate you and make you king. Like, that is so crazy to me, family. Because My worst fears have come true, and I know that the president is surrounded by prophets, he's surrounded by seers, he's surrounded by priests and pastors. And maybe some saw this coming, maybe they haven't seen it coming, but literally, they are propping up number one to be a sacrifice for the nation. Because, family, in about 9 months from now, which is the amount of time it takes to manifest a spell or a ritual on this level and to have it actually come out. Like, this is the betrayal of the highest order. I'm speaking in so much code because this message is for a few. And I'm actually hoping that those so called prophets and seers, I know they don't agree with the way I practice my gifts, with the way I decide to prophesy. But I hope you will take this because I am the prophet of the nation, family. But those are stories for other days. So I'm just hoping someone will see this because for me now it's neither here nor there because I've told you this narrative is closing out. Babylon is closing out. This is like their final cry, their final sacrifice, family, because in 9 months from now, Kenya is going to have to pay a lot of bills and a lot of debts, and we don't have the money. And for so long, they've been putting into the atmosphere that Kenya might go the Sri Lanka way. We might be like, is it the Nicaragua way? Or which was that nation that totally collapsed because they were unable to pay their Chinese debts and their World Bank debts and all that. In 9 months, already, fuel has never been as high as it is. Kenya has also, the leaders and the elite have also sold us to these so-called global powers. I don't know if it's because they think they're still going to have power. I don't know if it's because they don't have seers and prophets who can tell you that a new season is here. Because I'm telling you, Charles's prophets probably respect us more than RUTO's prophets. Otherwise, they would not have come and they would have not coronated him. And we really regret doing that video where we kind of not exposed, but confirmed who he was. Because they came, family. There was a change of the guard in Kenya, and they came, and the change of the guard went from the Agikuyu nation to the Nandi nation. Also, check the video I did on Field Marshal Muthoni. I'm also going to do another show talking about how, the confirmation that the Kenyatta Empire is over. My mind is blown away at how that was just done. I said the Mzungu was cold-blooded. They can use you for generations, and then they wake up tomorrow and they say, listen, we're coronating someone else to be lord of this nation. You guys are done. But I'll save that for the next show. Family. In 9 months from now, Kenya is going to face a very turbulent time. There's certain things that I don't want to say because I know what the power my mouth has. Because these things can still be averted. We are the creators of our reality, which is why I'm sharing this. And they have just propped up our main man to suffer like a Magufuli situation, where they've made him into this international celeb, almost like what they did with the Ethiopian prime minister, where he was this international celeb, and then the minute he decided he wanted to build the dam and all this stuff, all of a sudden, like they've used him to totally create so much instability in Ethiopia and kind of stop the quantum leap that can be stopped. Stories for other days. But there's been a lot of prophets who have been talking about how they see an election in 2024 in Kenya, although we just had an election and it would still be halfway through Ruto's term. So if there was going to be an election, who's the one, where will Ruto be, family? Because they brought him into the brotherhood and he was quickly coronated as the head of the brotherhood here in Kenya, totally toppling the former president. But he is still not an old boy. You know what I mean? He's still not part of those. They're trying to make his family now that rulership family. Maybe because they saw that the evangelical force they were coming with was actually a force to be reckoned with, so they hijacked the process. Whatever that may be. I mean, people would need to go deeper into those situations, which we have not done. All we know, family, is that those who are close to number one better just go back to their gods, their angel, whoever they pray to, and ask to see what is really going on. Because they are setting up RUTO for a similar situation as Arab Samoa. And I am not exaggerating and I am not releasing this for fear. Because they have lost total control, family, of Eden. But they feel that if this is the new family, since he was selected by the people and all this stuff, he seems clever and all these things. First of all, let me not even get into that. Let me not even get into that. But if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see what I'm talking about. Are there two RUTOs? Why is he not using the presidential jet? Why is he being seen here and then the plane is in Malaysia? What's going on? Anyway, that's what I'm saying, family. This is gonna probably be one of my last prophetic updates because I don't really care what's happening in this reality anymore. But I grew fond of the people of the church I used to go to. And I know that they have the ear of RUTO. And so I'm praying that their focus now will be to reverse the curse and the destiny that has been put on their man's life to suffer a similar betrayal as Arab Samoa. This is a cryptic message for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see what is going on. And for my fellow Kenyans, prepare yourselves, family. Start to stock up food. Remember when you were building all those homes in the village and trying to make sure they were completely off grid and stocking them with food and securing the spaces and stuff? Now is the time to do that. Also, get out of the cities. I mean, they're making all kind of declarations that really can't be implemented, but you can see that now they're even using Ruto as a mouthpiece, where he was talking about how by December Kenyans will be paying with their iris and, total mark of the beast vibes. I mean, it just can't, it's not implementable, but he tried to put it in the atmosphere. It's not going to happen. But they are leading him as a lamb to the slaughter, family. So, Kenya has avoided so much karma for decades because we were so critical to Babylon and to the Masonic Brotherhood and to the global Illuminati, to the Vatican. We were so critical to their control because this is a part of Eden. Kenya isn't the only country that's Eden. There are others, Southern Sudan, Congo, etc., etc. We are one of those nations that made up Eden. So prepare yourselves, my beloved fellow Kenyans, where you can stock up food now because the Kenya shilling, I don't even want to put it out there. Strengthen your spirit, man, so that you ride the storm. And if the leaders are willing, family, this is something that can be averted, but it will take a lot. And I don't think they're really willing to do what it takes unless they love their man enough. Wow. They coronated Arab Samoa and they actually have the audacity to try and betray a prophetic leader again. Which tells me Ruto must have some kind of prophetic powers. So If he ever sees this, may he be wise enough to change these things, things this time round. And he better get that skull now that he's coronated the new king of Kenya. But family, this is the closing out of this book. And some of us are just waiting in the wings for our day of restoration will come. And there have been many prophecies that talked about this, about how Kenya would go through a storm and how it would be the women of the nation who would put it back together again. But those are stories for other days. It is well. It is well.